Have you mastered your mindset? That's the question that we're going to focus on today because it impacts not only what you think and do, but your overall quality of life and sense of joy and happiness. At the Fit Pharmacist, there's three main pillars that we focus on to optimize your health in your life and with those that you interact with. The first is nailing your nutrition. The second is fitting in fitness, but the third is really the keystone, and that is mastering your mindset. You can't do the first two if this third is not achieved first. Well, you can, but you can't optimize the other two to reach your full potential. And we're all about being efficient, so that's why we're dedicating an entire segment of podcasting focusing on this very topic. Guys, truth be told, I would personally not be here today if I did not focus on mastering my own mindset. The Fit Pharmacist would not exist. I probably wouldn't even have become a pharmacist, and I wouldn't have come to know some of the most amazing people in my life today, like this inspirational human I have the honor of sitting next to right now, Alex Liu. Hey, man.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Doing well. So to start off, I just have a real simple question. Is English your first language?
It's not.
It's not. What is your first language?
It's Chinese.
Chinese. So, were you born here or where were you born?
I was born in China. Born and raised.
Born and raised in China. So, that's where you started, but right now you're in the U.S. in the steel city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So, talking about mastering your mindset, can you just share with us your story of where you started and what brought you here today?
Okay, so I was born in China, and I was born in a wealthy family, right? So my dad was like really rich, and I was grew up really spoiled, materially, and emotionally. I was they always send me to the school, so I go to there for 5 days a week. I never see my family, and come back in the weekends, right?
Right.
So what happens is so I grew up that way, so for 12 years, and my dad went bankrupt, so he lost everything.
Wow.
And so they have to, I don't know the details, but they have to come to America. But I was too young back then, so they can't bring me. So they left me when I was 12 years old, and then I have to live with my aunt, along with her son, so my cousin, and she is also a single mom, and she's raising me, her son, and also her parents. So a big family, and from living in a really luxury home,
right,
to a tiny apartment, along with the people. They are my family, but I'm not super
kind of strangers.
Kind of strangers, yeah. So that kind of makes me think of how do I adapt in that situation really fast. It's kind of like Tony Robbins said, leverage, right? This is my point of leverage. So talking about mindset. And that's the moment where, at the time, I thought it was the worst thing that could ever happen to me.
Yes.
And it turns out to be the best thing that happened to me.
Amazing. So, guys, just picture real quick. You're living a comfortable lifestyle, very well-to-do. You got your family, and like that, all of it is gone. Not only the material, the money, the comfort of having financial stability, but literally your family is gone. They left. And now you're living in a totally different environment, something that you've never experienced before, with total strangers because you don't know them that well. And it's a very chaotic, small place. So you were in a comfy living situation with lots of space, but now you're in a very cramped place with strangers, probably lots of noise, probably lots of things going on, and just totally different lifestyle turned upside down. And at the time, if you put yourself in that situation, very overwhelming, very very sad, maybe even very angry. Why this? Why that? But looking back, you say it's the best thing that's ever happened to you. So
it is.
From that point of inflection where you had noticed all of these changes, you were 12 years old, your family left, and now you're in a small apartment with extended family that you don't know that well. Walk us through what happened next.
So what happened is I remember the day that my mom left, right? I was too young to know what's going on. I just know that something's wrong. She got her plane ticket, but they never told me that. I don't know. Yeah. So my dad left me first. What happens is he left, and then my family told me he's on the business trip, so I don't know what's going on, what happened. And my mom left. I don't know where she's going to, but I know I know deep down there's something wrong.
Yes.
And the moment she left, she's crying and I start crying. I was playing computer game at the time, and at the moment, and I remember like the tears like kind of like as large as a bean just drop on the keyboard.
Wow.
And that's the moment they left. And what happened after that is we moved into a small apartment, and from a really good school to a really like a kind of like a street school, right? So it's like people living on that area, you automatically go to school in the town. And what happens is from a really rich child to going to like with the rich kids, and then boom with the poor kids, and I think culture shock. And then what happens is I learned so much from them. And they are very not like that because I was raised very rich. And then in just like the different culture, different way of thinking, a way of doing things, I made like friends that's so tight bound. We're still in like contact today.
Wow.
And what happens is like they are actually like the force of like keeping me like supporting me at the time. Like I wouldn't be here without them. So friendship like Tony Robbins talk about your peer groups. They are my peer groups. Like they are helping me because they are strong person. They are strong people. They've been through tough times too. And so we formed that bound, and that's how it really helped me going through that shift.
Yes.
The mindset shift.
So with that shift, you talked about having just a total different culture shock, lifestyle change, who you're interacting with, and everything else. What happened next? Was there some sort of stimulus that catapulted you into changing from your environment that you were in China to the U.S.? Because that's something I really want to hear about. Is now you're here. So what brought you here? What did that transition time look like?
Yeah, I think when there's like not like a specific moment, I think that like that whole event, like the time of 5 years, actually it's 5 years that I haven't only seen my parents for like maybe 2 times during the 5 years.
Wow.
And it's like really like short, like 2 weeks, couple weeks. Wow. And those time like shifts, like really slowly, it kind of builds me up. It's interesting because I was reading on this article the other day, like about like what makes humanity different. I was thinking maybe it's just something fancy, like we are like really smart or something like that. It's actually really basic. It's our ability to adapt to the environment quickly than any other species on the planet.
Yes.
And we have the best endurance. I think that's like how the skill like I kind of cultivated during that like traumatic event is I have to adapt through that time. And I'm always curious to learn because I feel really weak at the time when they left me because there's no support.
Right.
When there's like no support from family and outside world, I have to tune in from within. I have to find the strengths that's inside of me and cultivate that. So that's kind of like kind of like the awaken the January within. Tony Robbins said it. So I have to this is like leverage. I have to make it or I die.
Yes.
So that's kind of like that kind of feeling.
And it's interesting you were talking about reading because from what I understand, there was a book that you read while you were in China that really started your whole mindset shift. And can you talk about that and what happened, what book that was first, and then what happened when you read that and what actions that led to you to take?
So what happens is I feel like I'm a really lucky human being because I met a mentor when I was taking an English class, right? He is in his 30s. He's an entrepreneur doing a business, and I was at the time like I was hungry for knowledge. So I always like I think he saw my curiosity, and so I asked him, what kind of books do you recommend, or like what do you recommend me to do? And the first thing he said, I still remember till this day, is to read books. And now school books, like the textbooks, it's a books that whatever interests you, whatever you are curious about, you learn not only from school. Education, in school is a different thing. He told me that. So okay, so read books. All right. So what books do you recommend? And I asked him, and then he recommended me a bunch of books. And within those books, there's a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People, and How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. And that's like, that book really changed me, because at the time, going through that a traumatic event makes me really introverted and shy, because I want to protect myself. So I was living in a shell, right?
Yes.
And but that's kind of like my limiting belief, because we need to connect with people in order to grow. That's a part of like what makes us humans, being social. And so when I read that book, it's completely changed my life, because from a a victim mentality child, from it being like
Why me?
yeah,
Why this happened to
why
me?
this happened to me, and then turns to a really positive person. And by applying that, shift from going to middle school to high school, that shift, that transition, I apply what I learned, because going to high school is like I have a fresh start and nobody knows me.
Yes.
So when nobody knows me, like they don't have expectation of me.
Exactly.
Because there's a funny quote that you are I am what you think I am.
Yes.
I am what you think. So we always like trying to be the other people's expectation of us, instead of being just us.
Yes.
So that's kind of like the transition that helps me to like kind of like refresh, restart. And then by applying that, it really changed my life, because now I know how to take initiative and how to connect with people.
So in China is when you read this book.
Yes.
And who was the author of this book?
The author is Dale Carnegie. Yes.
And after you read that book, you realized the impact that it had on your life. And what did you say? What definite did you create that you said, I have to do this? What was that action? After you read that book, you said, I have to.
Yeah. So I read that book, and I realized how powerful it is. Like we can really turn our life around. We can. There's so much potential within us, and I realized that because when I was at the time, I feel like I was at the very bottom of life, and then I'm climbing down, and people helping me climbing down. We're coming up.
Climbing up.
No,
Yeah.
not
I don't want to go any down.
going down. Yeah, I'm going up, and then people are helping me going up, and then I see like the power of knowledge and the power of action, applying those knowledges, and how that can change people's life. And then it really like inspired me, and I feel like a urge, a power. I want to share what I learned to other people as well. That's kind of like how it gets me up every day. This is my drive.
Yes. What about with Dale Carnegie though? You heard there was an institute somewhere?
Yes. That's actually a really I didn't expect that to happen, because at the time I read the book, I was 14 years old. I was 15, 14 years old. And, I never know there's a training institution. And I just know that, this book is really cool. It's like one of my favorite books at the time. And okay, so coming to America, um, dropping out of college, right? I want to pursue my dream, kind of like my first mentor did.
Yes.
Pursue my dream. And then, but, English and Chinese is a complete different thing. And how do I communicate? How do I, because I only been here for 5 years, how do I, because in doing business, we need to communicate with other people, we need network, we need skill. And how can I find that? So I went online and searched for a communication course, a business course, and all that good stuff. Then I find, okay, so there's a course that says Dale Carnegie. I read his book. So might as well give it a try, right?
Yes.
And I took the course. So it's how many years? It's 6 years later after I read the book. 6, 7 years later I read, and then I took the course.
Wow.
And that's like the second time my life really completely on a different track. The track that could really lead me to a really blessed life.
And then you took that course. So that's the second time you saw Dale Carnegie. So then you had an absolute, you said, I have to take more action. So what did you do then related to Carnegie? So you found that there's an institute and it's in the US.
Yeah.
In what city?
Right here, like Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Right in Pittsburgh, yeah.
Right here. So what did you do next?
So without a single doubt, I signed up for the course. And, I just dropped out of college. I don't have any money. So I pursued my mom's, to pay the course for me. And she did. And I'm so glad she did. And then after the graduation, you know what my mom told me? She told me, I'm so glad I paid the course for you.
Wow.
Just the change she saw in me.
It was noticeable changes.
Noticeable. It's tangible.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you come to the US not speaking English, you drop out of high school, you have no money, and you take action because this book has impacted your life. Dale Carnegie. You took a course. You didn't have any money, but you found a way. You didn't use that as an excuse, but you found a way to get that course paid for, and you saw the impact. Others in your life saw the positive impact that that action had. So that led you to pursue what endeavor with where you are now?
Now it's to serve. I wanted to help people with coaching, is helping me realize their potentials and convert that potential into something they can do into action. And also, I do video projects, as you know. I make movies.
Oh,
I want to inspire people.
Very well. He does very phenomenal work. But after that course, you wanted to get more involved with Dale Carnegie. So what did you do?
So what happened is I started working for them after that.
You didn't just apply though. What did you say when you went there?
So when I went there, so on the one session, it's actually it's a good story. One session there.
So I want you to tell it.
So what happens is when I took the course, the first day I knew that I was in the right place, in the right time. I knew I belonged to that group, to that vibe, right? The learning. And then what happens is so the timing is so right because the person working there in Dale Carnegie, he's lucky to become he's lucky for me to become he's a coaching assistant in that course. So I know he's a coaching assistant, and we would just start talking, and then we were talking about books, we were talking about Napoleon Hill, really in line. And then so I told him, so John, he's I will do everything for Dale Carnegie. I'll do anything. I'll just sweep the floor. I just want to learn. So I just and then he's like, oh, actually, we get paid. You don't need to not get paid. And so what happens is he's a really cool guy. So he introduced me to the vice president of the company.
Wow.
And then it happened is so we're getting connect, and that's how I start by me take that bold chance. I know because I know in my heart it's the right decision to do.
Mm-hmm.
And with Tony Robbins has certainty, right? At that moment when I asked, I don't have any single doubt because I know this is what I'm going to do. So I asked him. Because I asked him, and he'd be able to help me. And I was so blessed by that day because my life will be here. I won't be here without that day. And I won't be here without reading the book many years ago.
Yes. It's funny how all those actions align, but it all came through action. And when you became so clear at what your path was, that created power. And that led you to what you are doing now. So guys, going back to the beginning of Alex's story, he was 14 years old, right? Or 12?
12 when parents left me.
12, broke, no support system, parents left him, living with strangers, small apartment, read a book, changed his life, took action, didn't have any money, didn't speak the language, convinced his parents to pay for the course. That led him to certainty, so certain he wanted to go and work for Dale Carnegie in Pittsburgh. So he went and said, I will do whatever it takes. I will sweep the floor. I will work for free. It doesn't matter. I just know I need to be here. What do you do now? What is your current position?
Social media coordinator. So I manage their social media accounts.
Social media coordinator for the entire Institute of Dale Carnegie. It doesn't even exist. He is an innovator and entrepreneur for this whole realm of social media, which is, as we know, changing our world and how we all communicate now. Interestingly enough, because that was what led Alex through this path, was how do I communicate? Now he is the communications director through social media at Dale Carnegie Institute, where he learned to read that first book. And that's today. How old are you?
I am 22 years old.
22 years old, guys. And that's his story. It's freaking incredible. Amazing.
Thank you.
It blows my mind. But all of that was possible because of his mindset. And that is why we're here today. And that is why we're kicking off this entire segment of the podcast, focusing on mindset, because it literally can change your life depending on what you choose to focus on. Alex had a bad hand at the time. That's what he felt. Why me? Why this? Anger, frustration. And there's every reason to feel that way. But instead, he chose how can I use this to propel me forward to a life that I didn't even think I would be at or possible or beyond what I thought was capable of myself. And because of that shift in mindset, it led him to take massive action. The book, coming to the US, doing whatever it took to work for the person that changed his life. And now, interestingly enough, he is an innovator and leader and entrepreneur in that very space that he sought to learn about because he took action and he shifted his mindset. And that's why we want to start with this, is give you an example, a case study of someone whose life has changed, and now he's using that as his mission, his purpose for living, to change other people's life through what he has learned and through his passion and communication. So that's kind of the whole purpose behind mindset, in that this is a story of one person, but it can be your story. We all have had things that have happened to us that were negative, and that if we complained and felt sorry for ourselves, no one would, blink an eye, they would understand. But you have the choice to focus on what you can gain from it, what you can grow into, and what you can make of yourself beyond what you ever thought possible. And that only comes from your mindset. Mindset is what will propel your health, not just physically, but mentally, how you interact, the value you provide to other people, the impact you have on this world through what you do and what you plan to do. All of that starts with your mindset. I know I've said that word about 1,000 times, but I really want to drive it home because it's so important. So guys, kicking off the series, this is our why. This is our experience of coming to you for why mindset is so important, because this guy's life has been totally changed. Mine has been totally changed. And together we are going to talk about what we have learned, the concepts we have embodied in our own lives to propel ourselves to our absolute form of excellence, so that we can be the change we wish to see in our own lives and in those we are blessed to serve and impact. So that's the why. That's the reason for starting this segment of podcast focusing on mindset. We have a ton of topics and value that we have learned through our lives, put into action, and seen an amazing return on the impact it's had. And that's why we're here. That's what this is for, is to share it with you so that you can implement it in your own lives. Because especially in healthcare, we lead through example, and the impact we have seen, we can provide and dispense, if you will, if you want to have a pharmacist pun, to those that we serve. So thank you guys for tuning in. We have a lot more to bring to you. Really excited to share it with you because we've seen the impact it's had on our own lives, and we are just really thrilled to share it with you. So with that being said, thank you for tuning in. Alex, thank you so much for sharing your story. Oh, it's a pleasure. More to come, guys. Tune in, and we will see you next time.